Hello, soul fam. What's up? What it do? Welcome to K&M Witchery or Readings by K&M. I am Kat Nicoletta Monroe, for those of y'all who may not know. And today we're going to have a nice little chitty chat, okay? I have pulled some tarot already, as you can already see on your screen. I will be diving into each aspect and each card. I have also noticed there has been a really common theme in my client sessions and personal discussions that I've been having with people in my life, and noticing that there is a great divide between what it is that we are meant to do here and our past. And sometimes that past often means that we are now to separate ourselves from people, places, and things who no longer align to us. And that could really pose a big inner turmoil, if you will, because you bring up limiting beliefs of abandonment and such, that you feel like you perhaps are a bad person for quote unquote giving up on another. And I want to tell y'all today, soul fam, that that is very rarely the case, especially if you are moving with peace, with kindness, and with love in your heart. My window is wide open, so if there are external noises out there, I hope that they're not going to bother you so much. But nevertheless, if my little introduction to today's spiritual check-in has resonated with you, I do hope that you stick around, give it a quick like, subscribe, join the tribe, and of course, if you are willing and able to, leave me a nice little comment down below. I love hearing from each of y'all, so that would make my day. Starting with the Sun card here, okay? Mixed in with the Nine of Wands. There is a great need here, soul fam, for you to defend your peace, to honor your light, to close off and put a very great barrier around your heart space right now. And that could very well be in a form of self-preservation and protection. Oftentimes, especially as empaths, what we do is we read the room and the energies of the room in order for us to remain safe. And safe doesn't always necessarily mean from physical harm of any kind. It often does mean that we no longer want to feel doubt or pain or shame in how it is that we choose to show up. So we cater to everybody else's emotions and things like that, right? And this may be the case here of why it is that you are reserving your light in order to make sure that everyone else is okay in and around you. And it could also be that you are now choosing to stop doing that and cater to yourself and your own light and your own healing in such a way that you are now placing very great barriers around people whom no longer align to you, which again is pretty much the topic here. Now it could also be a place, right? You could be really pulled to move somewhere, to completely switch up environments. And I want to say that that typically comes with immense amount of healing, right? The more that we evolve and transmute who we are as an individual, the more our interactions change with people around us, and thus our environments often change as well. Your external environment is often a reflection of your internal environment. So if you are ever pulled to move away and such, you can be feeling as if there is a battle between yourself in order to actually do that, because this could mean you leaving a family home and such, right? Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the Two of Wands that caters to the Sun and Nine of Wands energy, meaning that there is something from childhood here that is being brought to light. And perhaps maybe this could be on an emotional sense where you have had a explosion of energy on an emotional sense, whether it be crying out in such a way that you perhaps maybe hadn't since you were a child. This could also mean anger as well, right? You reverted back to a childlike state in your adulthood. And perhaps maybe this had caused a really big internal battle here that really maximized your desire and your want to set that boundary, to protect yourself, or to again just completely separate yourself in order for you to find your light and truly be happy, whatever that really means for you right now. And going through such changes can really mean that you are now going through the realization that what has once served you no longer does. And oftentimes, when we're dealing with people whom are unable to see our light, we want to expand on that and explain to them, well, this is the healing I've done. Like, do you not see the benefit of my therapy or my methods of healing and what worked for me? Perhaps maybe it will work for you, right? You notice how much you yourself have changed and perhaps have maybe for a long time made exceptions for some people, and you validated their reactions and their toxic behaviors towards you because you understand their pain. And this is something that empaths often do as well. We research the abusers in our life, the narcissistic individual, or even if it's not, you know, something more extreme in that sense, it could just mean that you go above and beyond understanding why it is that other people react the way that they do. And thus it creates a softer heart for us. It's like, oh, okay, well, since I understand that you went through all of this and that, it makes sense why you're going to react like that. And thus I will allow you to continue using me as your punching bag. What? Stop this immediately. That is not healthy, okay? And making excuses for people like that is something that will further your inner turmoil and will, in fact, cause you to perhaps maybe protect your light in such a way that you are going to begin to start dimming it. That is unhealthy, and that is not right at all for your soul. That is not the experience that you are meant to have. You are meant to be happy, healthy, and thriving to the best of your personal capability. And sometimes that means making the strong and sometimes difficult decision to separate yourself from what and whom no longer aligns. Now, when it comes to challenging people in our lives, many people will choose to remember and recognize only the version of you which they had power over at one point or another. So reverting back to this childlike nature, the person that perhaps maybe you would want to separate from doesn't see how much you've changed and how much effort you've put into yourself, because they only see you as that 16-year-old or whatever year old. Even if you're 54 watching this and this is something that you resonate with from 36, you know, regardless of age, going back in time, there was a codependence with this person and they held some form of a power or authority over you. Perhaps maybe you needed them literally to survive, or perhaps your connection was so strong in each other's toxic ways. If we're talking about a platonic friend, right? Perhaps maybe this is a friend that you always really went out to the clubs with and got shit-faced with and made fun decisions, but they weren't always the healthiest decisions, right? You may find that that person will kind of hold this cord with you and be like, well, do you remember how it was? And like, this is where we were, you know, our happiest and such. And that is in a way a trauma bond, right? Where you latch on to experiences that you have had with the other person, regardless of how healthy or unhealthy it was. And in the process of transforming and healing yourself, you realize that, maybe Saturday nights will be reenacted differently moving forward. You don't want to consistently be inhaling alcohol, which is poison to your body, on a consistent basis in order for you to feel something or be able to, you know, whatever reasons may be. You want to find that balance in that, and yet there's a particular person who is constantly bringing that out of you, you know, and it's like they're refusing to believe that you are no longer interested in that. And you're like, well, how about we go to the beach instead and just enjoy life and put our feet in the sand and swim around a little bit, right? Like, that's still something really fun, but we don't have to bring the alcohol and the drama with us. And that person will hold a power over you and be like, well, this is what we used to do and this is who we are, you know? And it's like, no, 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 that's respectfully who you may still be, but that's no longer who I am. And so oftentimes we would then make the exceptions of hanging on to such friendships and going out and tagging in on those clubbing nights that no longer really resonate with who we are anymore. And that leads to more conflict, and that leads to, again, you dimming your light and dimming your healing. And this leads us to then the crossroads here, right? Because there's a reason why this is a Two of Wands. And at the center of your reading, you do also have the Two of Swords. So you're at a crossroads. You're at a crossroads here, and this crossroads is in between all of the really fun times and memories that you may have had. Even if it's not necessarily fun, it could just be something that is a routine, you know, something that has always been there. This could be family. This could be, again, memories, and Saturday nights are for the girls or for the boys or whatever, you know. And on the other side of that, right, is you standing in your power and in a way even moving forward. And I really want to say solitude, and I'm having difficulty saying that. Like, my throat chakra is immediately kind of blocking me from saying that, because it could very well be, so fam, that anyone tuning in, y'all may have really deep fear of being alone. And I want to say that there's a really big difference between being alone and being lonely, okay? As someone whom had separated from their family, moved abroad, and had worked on my own internal healing, away from my friends, away from everybody else, away from like the entire place that I had grown up in, you know, that offered me the solitude I needed to really find my light and embrace it and allow it to shine, as opposed to dim due to how other people are feeling at a time, or me being able to kind of be like a chameleon, as a Libra usually is, catering to other people's emotions and desires and wills outside of my own. And yes, sometimes that did come with the experience of being lonely and missing people and missing those interactions and wondering if the separation was even worth it, you know, because if I'm no longer doing that with them, will they forget me? And will they perhaps maybe feel like I abandoned them? And I want to say that that has been the furthest aspect of the truth. Me standing in my own light, and of course I'm sharing my own experiences with you to know that this is possible, and I am living proof of this if you ever needed one. To stand in your own light means that you are really going to be able to pave your own way and find people who do align with you, with your own level of healing, whom are able to match you at a level that they will want to just go to the beach, you know? Oftentimes, soul fam, I will say that peace is incredibly boring to people whom are unhealed. Many people are unwilling and unable, or they find no desire in perhaps maybe walking around a forest, you know, and listening to the birds and the crunch of the leaves and twigs underneath your feet. There's no peace in that. It's boring. There's nothing happening, you know, when really chaos becomes addicting. And once you've healed that internal chaos, which I believe is being highlighted for you right now, if not something that you have already overcome, and this is just one big clarifying reading for y'all, you find peace in your solitude, you find peace in the quiet, you understand that that alone could also become an addiction, which is another kind of issue, which we have to always find a balance in, soul fam. And trust me, like, my human design is the hermit opportunist. I'm a 2/4, so like consciously I really want to hermit and like totally be alone, and I actually thrive in that as well. So once, on a personal scale, once I gave that into myself, that's when I really found my light. But the opportunist side of me, that unconscious side of me, really, again, reeled in different opportunities and experiences to connect and never truly be alone. So also really look into perhaps maybe your human design or your astrology or numerology, right? Anything that will allow you to dive into your own personal self-awareness and development that will cater to perhaps maybe the next direction that you are to go to and stuff like that. There's a really big nose itch on that. I'm really trying not to itch my nose so much there, but it's a big one there. So feel free to go ahead and do that for yourself, right? And find the path that is best catered to you, because ultimately, Soul Fam, the divide here is between who you were and who you're meant to be right now based on who it is that you were. And that doesn't ever mean that you're going to be turning your back entirely on the people, places, and things that have once served a purpose for you. It just means that you have evolved. You don't really see butterflies socializing with caterpillars, do you? And yet they've cocooned and gone through a full transmutation process in order to become a completely different being. It served a purpose. It allowed for your survival and your existence in one form or another. And evolution often, again, comes with a change of environment, a change of interaction, and oftentimes may call for solitude. And that is okay. Perhaps maybe even just bravely walking down a path that you are willing to carve yourself. Sorry, there were some birds flying above and that was really pretty. Perhaps maybe you paving your own path will in fact just be a shortcut to an entire group of people whom, with their arms wide open, will welcome you in, and you can now share your experiences with people whom are willing to listen, as opposed to shush you or diminish you and devalue you, perhaps because their own idealization of you is at a level that they have been stuck in themselves for so long. And convincing people how much you have changed and such rarely works. You know, the right people in your life, Soul Fam, regardless of distance, regardless of time, they will see that. They will be motivated by that. And you will grow with them if that is what the experience calls for. But we must do it for ourselves, you know, sitting there and understanding why other people are the way that they are helps them with nothing. To do the work for somebody else and consistently work hard to have them understand something is an exhausting use of your energy after a certain point. And then that will likely lead to emotional outbursts or complete isolation and dissociation in an unhealthy manner, because unconsciously you know you're ready to move forward, but consciously you're blocking yourself from doing that. And you can't fight the battle for somebody else, Soul Fam. Healing is something that is incredibly personal. And so I know that perhaps at one point or another, this served you well, this connection, this place, this job, whatever it may be for you personally. Again, this is a general YouTube reading, so take it as it resonates for you here, Soul Fam. Thank you for the confirmation. I just got goosebumps there. Please remember to like and comment, Soul Fam. I would really love to hear from you guys. Again, me being that King of Wands energy, it's okay to also ask for that connection there as well, you know, to bravely be like, hey, I'm here, who relates? You know, who knows what and whatever may pop up. And sometimes you may have to echo that out a few more times until someone or something sticks. But Soul Fam, that peace and trust and knowing and that connection to Mother Earth is so much better. I'm getting emotional here. It is so much better and so much more powerful than maintaining chaos for the illusion of peace. Chaos becomes addicting. And once we heal, we learn to evolve from that. And sometimes that means we need to strictly place walls and boundaries around people who no longer serve. And this will likely come with you being the bad person in someone's books. You know, even someone whom I believe has a very pure heart, and I mean, having a spiritual wellness offer to people and my light and my intuition and such like that. I use it for healing and for clarity and for evolution in others alongside myself, right? Like everything that I personally teach, I expand forward, I pay it forward, because I mean, I personally am never the type to, be a chain smoker and tell someone that's bad for you, don't do it. Like, no, I'm going to quit with you. So I can really walk you through the pain of how to do that, right? Now, smoking is not something I can really relate to, but on a general sense, you get it, right? And yet still, me cutting people off or setting strict boundaries or even having emotional outbursts that perhaps maybe were uncontrollable at one point or another is something that I will never regret, but people will paint me as the devil, because whatever their reasons may be. And why I'm bringing that up, Soulfam, is you're going to have to be okay with that. Because if you're going to consistently keep working overtime, Soulfam, to please everybody around you, you will never please anybody. Do it for yourself. Be selfish, but be pure in your selfishness, because it's in filling your own cup so you're actually going to be able to overflow to your community, to your families, to your art, to your business. And I think that, as the overall title of this entire reading, by the way, that Ace of Cups, that's what this is about. You honoring and pouring into yourself so much that you overflow in love. Why cut yourself off? Soulfam, consistently. That hasn't worked for you so far. And maybe it has. And now that you have the conscious awareness of it, you realize that that no longer serves its purpose for you. Matter of fact, it's derailing you from your truest destiny to step into your power. And what a shame it would be to hide your light. The fears that we have of, let's say, abandonment, since that is something that had been brought up already, right? Like, I can never turn my back on my family and friends. I can never leave them and abandon them like that. But just know that that often comes with the sacrifice of you abandoning yourself. The thing that you are fearing the most is the thing that you are enacting right here and right now. The things that we run from are the things that we are refusing to heal within ourselves. And there is no abandonment, Soulfam. But justifying one's own abandonment in themselves by catering to the exception isn't helping anybody. And that's what karma is. It's a repeated lesson and a cycle that just happens and occurs over and over again until someone breaks that pattern, breaks the circle, breaks the link, removes themselves from it. And yeah, sometimes it's scary. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. But every time it's been worth it, at least from personal experience. And again, how you do that will range for each of you based on your own human design, based on who you are innately. There is no one path fits all, but there is a path nonetheless. And we build that path, right? Because then oftentimes I get the question, am I on the right path? And I'm like, what path is there? You're the one that's laying the bricks. You're the one that's pouring down the concrete in front of you with every decision and every step you take. So yes, the answer is you are always on the right path, and you can always change direction. Hell, you can just turn around and make a little loop the other way if you have to. And that's often when we face our shadows, when we no longer run from them. There was a giant fly in my room, and then it buzzed around. I don't know if you guys maybe heard that and picked it up, but it just left too. There's a really cool sign of that. Like, metaphors are everywhere. So moving on to the last three cards here, we have the Fool, we have Justice, and we have the Knight of Coins. Justice being in the middle here means that you are divinely guided right now to move forward, to cut off the things that no longer serve. When we think of Libra, and the reason why I bring up Libra is because Justice is ruled by Libra energy. Libra is an inanimate object. It is the only inanimate object in all of astrology. It has no heartbeat. It is just steel or metal or gold or whatever you want to make the scale out of. It just balances things out. And sometimes that balance is highly imbalanced. And thus something must be taken away to find that balance yet again. Sometimes it can be quite cutthroat. That doesn't always have to be the case, although sometimes, Soul Fam, emotional outbursts, especially like really big conflicts and fights, happen because they're divinely led to happen. And like, I know we can sit here and like trottle around how it is that we should treat people and ourselves and trauma responses and but like sometimes things literally just happen in a form of like explosion in order for there to be peace after, you know? Like sometimes you require the storm. And it's often painful. But you decide how long that pain will be. You can either sit in the rubble or you can pave your way forward. How powerful is that? And so the Fool is here to say you're ready to move forward, to live in your quote unquote delusion, in your manifestations, in your pure belief that the right places, experiences, and people will find you, or you will find them. But either way, you will pave the way for yourself. You have all that you need. And there's always a companion. Oftentimes the Fool has a dog. In this case, there's a cute little monkey. But nonetheless, there's always some sort of spiritual guide there with you, a friend. You are never truly alone, Soul Fam. That's the illusion that we're breaking from. And that also mustn't mean that you will wish bad upon people whom are refusing to do that healing within themselves. No. Wish them well, wish them healing, and allow that to no longer be your responsibility regardless of where their pendulum swings. That's probably why I'm made out to be the devil sometimes. Because I'm like, for good or bad, it's not my responsibility anymore. And so when bad things happen to people, they often somehow blame me for it. And I'm like, what? I'm all the way over here minding my own business. Like, what does that have to do with me? But let them say what they gotta say, Soul Fam. Like, no, like I'm laughing about it. Like for me, it's silly. It's silly. But that's the difference again by taking your own responsibility in your healing versus being so affected by your circumstances that everyone and everything else is out to get you, when really you're just standing in your own way. And we have all been there in one form or another. This is why I don't wish ill will upon anyone, because I've been where they are before. I've refused to heal before. I've been so stubborn in my ways. I knew everything until the experiences humbled me. And until I heard the call that so many of you tuning in still are feeling and hearing within you right now to move away and understand that there is a way and there is a balancing that needs to happen. And in order for that balancing to come, you have to move away, Soul Fam. You gotta. Three's a crowd. Three is a crowd. Whatever that three may be, Soul Fam, it doesn't even have to do, I know oftentimes people see the Three of Cups and it has something to do with a third party, but like, shit, like it could be anything. But something needs to be removed in order for that balance to come in. You see? And thus we plant the seeds, like this Knight of Coins is doing, spreading all of those seeds out, moving forward powerfully, nonetheless, on a really beautiful elephant. I love elephants. slow moving, but powerful, sustaining, wise. This is who you are. And sometimes it's okay to take the long road. Sometimes it's okay to pave your own path. You know, I'm getting pulled to, I don't know if this is in fact a machete, but nevertheless, like this sword right here, right? And all of these like different, I don't know what kind of fields they are. Sorry, I'm not like a plant person, but nevertheless, it kind of feels as though this individual here just kind of like cut his way through those fields, you know? Why follow the path that everyone else has followed? This again brings me back to your own human design, to do things your own way. Oftentimes people tell me, Kat, you can't be alone. And I'm like, yes, I can. It's literally my human DNA. Like, I'm a Uranus first house individual. Like, I need my space. Again, hermit opportunist. I require my space. I thrive in that. The right people and things will come to me. The more that I allow what I am here to be, versus shaping myself as intricately as it had worked for others. Heard my snaps. So I'm going to allow this message to be what it is. I will also say that when it comes to my services and how I work with people, I do it on an individual sense. So I will cater energies that will likely better work for you, even if it's something completely opposite of what I had done. Now, I like to share my own personal experiences again, because sometimes people require the quote unquote proof. And so here I am to let you know that you are never alone. Even if the only way that we have to connect right now is through this wonderful platform. It's an honor. And I, for one, am excited for you to begin to start planting your own seeds, your own way, and build your own communities. Like, some of y'all are so fucking intuitive. Like, the power that we hold within us, Soul Fam, has been dimmed for far too long. Welcome to the age of Aquarius. It's time for us to rise and live authentically and fully, honorably, peacefully, because it is possible. So stop fighting it within you, Soul Fam. You're meant to be all that you can be. So cut your losses as respectfully as you possibly can. Stand firmly around your boundaries and know that the right things, places, and people will align to you. You just have to have more faith in that. Faith in yourself. Okay? Okay. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.